Hello, everyone. Welcome. I am Briar Harvey. This is the Neurodiversity Media Network. And today we're here for another episode of Personal Evolution with the incredible, damn it, I'm always backwards. Hello, Biba. How
Hi,
are you today?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
I'm amazing. The week before Christmas. I have nothing done yet.
Uh-oh.
And mostly this is not my responsibility in any way, so it's fine. I just get to be, unsettled that this year has not quite gone according to plan.
Uh-oh.
And that's fine, because that is totally what we're here to talk about today. Things
Mhm.
not going according to plan.
Yes.
So we've spent the last two episodes now talking about imposter syndrome, what that
Correct.
means, what that looks like, how it shows up in people's lives.
Hmm.
And today we want to talk about what the typical prescribed methods of dealing with imposter syndrome are and why they're probably wrong.
Yes. Yes, we do.
Yes, fabulous. I'm here for this.
Yeah, me too.
All right, so let's start at the top.
Mhm.
What are some of the ways that people typically deal with imposter syndrome?
The typical ways that people deal with imposter syndrome, I would say some of them just don't. Some of them don't even recognize that it is imposter syndrome and they continue to hide until it gets to a point where it can't be ignored. Some of the typical ways include talking to other people about it in hopes that they can provide good information. They can provide a space that is safe for you to be able to share. They also may talk to a therapist, ideally. Um, they can begin starting to do their own personal deep dive, their own personal discovery. So maybe some journaling, maybe they start to write out their accomplishments and those kinds of things and check their negative self-talk and things like that. So those are some ways that people go about it.
Well, that all sounds perfectly normal and healthy to me, Biba. What's wrong with it?
What is wrong with it is that it doesn't really take into consideration human nature. And when we're talking about imposter syndrome, we are talking about a mechanism that is within each and every one of us that was developed at a particular period of time when we weren't as aware or we didn't have this body of knowledge or this understanding or this immense vast vocabulary when we were a toddler or when we were just a baby and we felt something like, oh my god, I'm traumatized, and like someone yelling at you that doesn't normally yell at you when you've made it mean a thing. You develop certain behaviors to protect yourself from experiencing that thing again. And now that you're older and you understand things, like even in that moment, oh, it was just a bad day, it wasn't about me. But whatever the thing is or the series of things are that you created, those behaviors to protect yourself, they're continuing to play. And so it doesn't take into account how long we've been doing this, how many ways and scenarios and experiences that we have that is based on this super old thing. And so while they sound perfectly reasonable, it's talked about and spoken about as if you do it one time and it's going to be fine. You do it once and it'll be gone. You do it and it's it'll be you'll never experience it again, which all three of those things not true. When we're talking about making that changes to things and behaviors that we've been doing and experiencing for a big portion of our lives, it's not a simple matter of let me just deal with my negative self-talk. let me just find a mentor. There's going to be a series of things that you'll have to do. Some things work, some things don't work, some things work for a period of time until they don't work all of a sudden. But it's going to have to be something that you're going to have to come at and deal with, work through, navigate, whatever, over a period of time. There is no quick fix. And for many of us, there is no fix at all. It's not something that's going to be gone because it's a mechanism to protect us. And nobody wants to hear that.
Nobody wants to hear that. Last season, we spent a lot of time talking about how affirmations are from you to your inner child, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a conversation that happens here. It's the same for your inner critic who
Mm-hmm.
wants to tell you what you've got wrong.
Yes. So very true. Your inner critic is your inner critic has all the receipts. And they're going to bring out all the receipts for how whatever it is that you're affirming is not true, which is why for people that don't already believe what they're affirming, it doesn't work for them. So there's still a way that you can say affirmations, still a way that you can talk to yourself, that even in the event that it's not true, that bypasses that inner critic and goes to a particular part of you where you can receive that. And so we talk about that, to your point, like last season, and it's monumental, but unfortunately it's not what we often hear. So another thing I wanted to point out too, and I just had this conversation with one of my friends where they asked me, do you have an inner critic? Do you have that voice that plays in your head that is going to let you know which way the wind is blowing? It's going to let you know where you got the game messed up, where you're making mistakes, you're doing stuff wrong, and you're unworthy, whatever, all the things that it does. And I said, yeah. And she said, I actually don't have that. And I was like, oh, tell me more about this. So this is not, so she what she said is, it's not that there is a voice. There's still something that happens that makes her feel like shit at the end of the day, but it's not based upon a thought or a voice in your head. What it is a feeling in the body. She gets like punched in the stomach and then she feels like crap about the thing, or slapped in the face, or whatever. And so in that moment and having that conversation, it just opened up that everybody doesn't feel the same way. Here we are on the Neurodiversity Media Network, and that's the reason why this even exists, because there are people that don't experience certain things that you feel are common. I wouldn't have known that other people don't have an inner critic in the way that
They
a
don't
lot of us
have an
do
inner dialogue at
at
all,
all.
Biba.
Yes.
There are a ton of folks who don't experience any kind of inner monologue. They
Mhm.
don't typically see in pictures.
Mhm.
So there's a real issue when trying to talk about having a conversation with your inner critic if
Yes.
no such voice exists.
Exactly. So that's another piece. Like, these conversations and these solutions are not often inclusive. They're not often considerate of people that don't, again, process, hear, experience things the same way. So there are people who are left out of the conversation. So if I write an article and I say, yes, you can get your inner, talk to your inner critic. So for the people who don't have an inner critic that's not hearing stuff, then what are they getting out of that? They can't talk to that, whatever that thing is that punches them
Right.
in the stomach that makes them feel like crap. That's not a conversation. There's some other things that they can do, but the thing that I put forth, the solution I put forth that just says inner critic, talk to it, doesn't include that. So there are
Right.
populations of people that are just not included in some of these solutions that are put out there, unfortunately.
And that's really very othering
Yes.
because so much of what the inner critic is, what imposter syndrome is the belief that we don't belong.
Hmm.
And if you're telling me that I have to communicate with it in a way that doesn't exist for me, well, that just
Hmm.
makes it worse, right?
It does. It's a issue, circular issue, and even the idea and the languaging around how to fix imposter syndrome or overcome it, eradicate it, to eliminate it. It all sounds like an act of war. Like you are just
Mm.
going to war to get rid of it so that you can, live your life the way that you want to live. But if it's really a mechanism to protect you, then you're going to war with it. Is that the move? No. No. Even the languaging. It's like it again, like if you're with imposter syndrome, if it's about there's something wrong with you and you're in this container of shame because something is wrong with you, then talking about a solution as, this is a war tactic that's going to help you to, this boot camp and put your foot on the neck of imposter syndrome. It's circular. Something's wrong with you. Something is so wrong with you that you need to go to war with yourself. There's something so wrong with you. And it just keeps you in this loop. It makes it worse.
Yeah, it's that shame component. And we're going to be doing a lot of work on that shame piece in 2024, y'all,
Oh my, listen.
because tired of it.
Yeah.
Tired of the idea that the only way through is to feel bad about it. What? Y'all, make it make sense.
I can't. I can't. But if you keep in mind that, like, who benefits from imposter syndrome? Who benefits from talking about imposter syndrome the way that they speak about it? The people that benefit from that are the people who are, trying to make money to help you to fix you. The people who benefit are the corporations and those entities, organizations that have these toxic cultures and systems in which we exist. So if we're so busy chasing our own tails, we're not speaking truth to power about how the system fosters this. The system adds sugar to it so it can grow, so it can be exacerbated, so it can continue to be inflamed. And it also keeps you under control.
Tell
So,
him,
yeah.
Biba. Tell him. There is a phrase in Latin, que bono, which means who benefits. And on this question in particular, I think it's really important to ask
Mhm.
who benefits from my shame?
Yeah. Because as long as you're in shame, you are hiding and you are doing
Mhm.
all kinds of things to hide. You are running yourself ragged to keep the secret a secret. You are giving credit to other people. You are working your fingers to the bone so they don't realize that you are confused or you're scared or this is new for you and you're worried about your reputation and getting it wrong and all the things. It keeps you running. It keeps you in this cycle. And as long as you remain there, then you're not asking questions. You're not demanding change. You're not demanding more money. You're not demanding more time off. You're not starting your own movement. You're not taking people with you. You're not changing communities and worlds. You're not doing those things if you're on the rat or if you're on the hamster wheel.
And I think that understanding here that we get to opt out of this process is the first step. But just because you know it's all bad doesn't mean you can do anything about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Doesn't mean that you can do anything about it, but there is something that you can do to start. And one of the things that I had to learn, and this learned this like a while ago, which was really hard to hear, is that sometimes you are not going to provide the solution. You're not the solution. Sometimes you've plucked a thread out and then somebody else is going to take it from here. Sometimes you may be the catalyst And because it is still so very, the thing that you did was so small in the grand scheme of things, you're not going to get the credit, or they don't recognize that you were the one, that there's still other things that come into play, or there are a lot of steps in between when they started with you and when it was actually healed, when they healed it, when they navigated it, when they've made it an anthill as opposed to a full mountain, when they've done that. And so don't work or don't operate from the perspective of like you were going to be the one for them to really see the light of day. Like, it's not my job. So it takes that responsibility away from me. So it has helped me to talk about what I do differently, and this work differently, without it being so attached to me and someone's success being so attached to something I've done or something I've said. So it may just start with a small thing that you do, and then somebody who has been inspired by you or motivated by you or admires you and is looking at you like, wow, that was really courageous, that was really brave to share this vulnerable moment. They're going to remember that, they're going to take that somewhere else and start planting seeds, and then those seeds are going to grow and more seeds are going to be planted. So maybe not in, your Fortune 500 company where you're currently working are you going to see some whole sort of, major change because you talked about how I'm tired of this, and I'm just doing better for myself and this makes me sick and I'm going to quit. Like, you're going to pull a Jerry Maguire moment and then all of a sudden the whole company is going to change. Yeah, probably not. Probably
I
not.
mean, good luck with that.
Yeah, yeah, good luck. Good luck. But the seed that you plant in one person is worth you doing the work for yourself.
Right, because imposter syndrome, like many other kinds of trauma, is epigenetic, right?
Mm.
This is generational legacy. Let's talk about
Mm.
that.
Ooh, you dig deep. Yeah, yeah, it is generational legacy. Generational legacy in a couple of ways. In us learning things from our parents. Like, if I'm black, my mom's black, my father's Nigerian. And so the way that work was at the time when they were, that I was little and they were working and whatnot, their experiences they're different from mine. And also I learned certain things that didn't necessarily happen to me based on the experiences that they had. My mom, she was the director of HR at an oil company. So in the 70s,
That's impressive.
yes. And she relocated from where I am now out to Oklahoma in the
Hmm.
70s as an
Ooh.
HR director for an oil company. So I don't have to tell you, she's got stories, she's got receipts, she's got history. And how could she not have that kind of experience and come back home to her two young black daughters and share with us? How are we not going to witness some of the things that she's gone through? And how is that not going to inform the ways in which I believe I need to act in public, the
Right.
ways that I need to show up at my job, the way that I need to show up in my personal life, in school? And it has, I mean, I'm not going to go into like a whole bunch of details, but especially for those in marginalized communities that are already othered, you're already indoctrinated into families and with communities that you've created for yourself, where these kind of conversations are happening all the time, and you're developing your own practices, your own principles and things based on what you're hearing. So when you go out into the world, you're already like, I already know how I'm going to act. And a lot of us are like, let us just keep your head down, get your job done, and don't make any waves.
And you're not just going to journal that away.
No, no, you can't just journal that away. Especially when, again, going back to the toxicity of a lot of these corporate cultures, when you're looking in here and you're seeing like live in-person demonstrations of what happens when someone makes a mistake, or what happens when somebody like you makes a mistake. So if Sarah down the hallway, non-melanated woman, is makes a mistake, and you're watching how people are rallying around her because she's so upset, she's crying. People are like, sorry, Sarah, don't even worry about it. We're gonna rally, we're gonna get this stuff done. Don't even sweat it. And then I make a mistake that's smaller than what she did, not on that same level. One time, she's made that mistake many times, and I'm in the director's office, and I'm getting written up, I'm getting demoted, I'm getting, they're putting me on probation. They've got an employee work back plan for me, like an employee improvement plan now, and all these other kinds of things. And I'm literally seeing how just last week, this person who's been messing up the church's money, 17 Ways to Sunday, no one's called her on the carpet. I'm doing double her work. I'm doing double the work that she's doing. And I make one small mistake. And this is what happens to me when I'm seeing someone doing a way worse than I've done. And nothing happens. So, and that exists. That exists. It happened. It's
Mhm.
happening in 2023. It'll happen in 2024. Like, those are conversations that I have with my friends all the time. And I know I'm not alone. In other communities that I'm not a part of, I know those conversations are happening.
Mhm. And I'm not just going to be able to meditate that away.
No, no, you're not. I mean, you're going to start with you. You're going to start with, okay, now that I've seen this and I'm observing what's going on, like, how do I feel about that? What is that? What does that mean to me? Not just what am I going to do, but get in touch with your feelings about it. What does this drum up? Does this remind you of something? And from there, you determine what you're doing. It could mean that you need to leave. It could mean that you need to see HR. I'm gonna caution you about that because HR ain't really here for you. They
No,
here
they're
for the
not.
company. They are
Yes,
here for
they
the
are.
company. They're if it and this is like a pet peeve of mine, but if it's really HR, there's a difference between personnel and HR. And even though they might be called the HR director, they may still be HR, may still be personnel. They're more worried about making sure that you get your proper onboarding paperwork, and then there, some training maybe, and let's make sure that you get enrolled into the insurance policy. That's personnel. But HR, they're the ones who are making sure that the human capital, that would be you, and then the rest of y'all, are not in there doing actionable things that could get the company in trouble. So maybe not HR, maybe not for you, but you may need to hire a lawyer. you know, you may have to alert the others that you're not going out without a fight.
And the fact that we still have professional whisper networks
Mm,
pretty much tells you that while imposter syndrome is absolutely a thing, it
hmm.
is not the only thing.
It's not the only thing. And that's why we're having this conversation, because it's not the only thing. And the way that it's being talked about is treated as if it's the only thing. And that's my biggest gripe with it. It's spoken about like it's not normal. It's spoken about like it looks exactly like this for every single person when it doesn't. We're talking about the othering, like there are people who experience it and they're worried about not belonging or feeling like they're ostracized from the rest of the community. But there is something to be said for people who aren't the normal. If people who are marginalized, who just because they're different, they are other. And then there's something to be said for them, for those that are also being treated as other when they're already different, right? Or when these cultures just don't really take into account that at all, human nature, like the whole thing. So it's unfortunate that it's not been expanded. When it was introduced, sure, it was what it was, in the 70s. At that time, those, I mean, the LGBTQIA plus community, I mean, wasn't even a part of the conversation in the 70s. Not that it didn't exist, but it wasn't as talked about and discussed and accepted as it is now. There's not that there's not work to do, let's just be clear, but in the 70s, it was a complete non-factor. It wasn't a part of the conversation. Black people, brown people, not really a part of the conversation. Women, more a part of the conversation, as long as they were non-melanated women. Definitely more a part of the conversation. And the study was mostly them. So it hasn't been expanded from that to include all these different categories of people, these different races, these different identities, these different, the way that they think and other things. It hasn't been expanded. And so now is a good time, as any, to start having those conversations.
Yeah, a friend of mine on LinkedIn posted the other day about how they saw an job advertisement,
Mm.
neurodiverse people encouraged to apply.
Hmm.
Right, and you're making that face at me because everybody's neurodiverse, y'all. That's the whole point of neurodiversity, is that everybody's got neurotype. If you want to encourage a neurodivergent person to apply, but right, like we're not even getting the language right, which means we're definitely not getting the work right.
Not getting the work right. Not getting the work right. You already know what that work environment is going to be like when we don't have the language right. Do you know how many people that probably had to go through to get approval to now be put out there in space for other people to see, and it was missed by all of those people? I'm not going. I don't. There's nothing else I need to say. There are a lot of eyes on that, and every one of them was like, "Okay, yeah, looks good, looks good, looks good, looks good, looks good. Go ahead, yeah, fine, fine, fine. Put it out there." So you already know. You already know.
Yeah, and again, that's not about you, y'all.
Mm-mm.
That is a systemic issue that you
Mhm.
cannot internalize. So, at the end of the day, what are we saying here, Biba?
At the end of the day, we're not only saying that it's not about you, but we're saying that by changing or expanding the conversation to include humanity, that it is going to broaden our understanding, and it will provide us with newer solutions or newer perspectives or awareness that it's ongoing. It is okay. It doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with you. It's just something that, sometimes it comes up. It's pretty inflamed. Other times it's just there chilling underneath the covers, not causing havoc. But it doesn't mean that it's bad. It doesn't mean any of those things. It just means that you need a little attention in certain places. And it's important to, like, again, get connected to you, start to learn more about yourself. And in doing that makes you feel more confident. And then you can use that confidence to do all the things. It's not about you.
God, that's such a relief.
Yeah, we're living in a society where it's like every day, you turn your TV on, it's like I'm just trying to watch the news, and already they're telling you your eyelashes ain't long enough. It's like you're just trying to mind your business and drink your damn coffee. And you're trying to tell me now that my eyelashes they're not what they're supposed to be, or my hair is problematic and I'm not doing this right and I've gained weight and all. Like, this society is pretty much meant to tell us all that something is wrong. And that something that's wrong could be fixed by paying whomever money to get it fixed. I can pay Maybelline and get my eyelashes together. I can pay whomever and fix this other problem, and those kinds of things. So this is the same thing too. This is the same thing.
And the damage we're doing to the younger generations by not getting our poop in a group now is significant. I
Mhm.
read a post on Reddit the other day about a woman, I assume younger, who said that she was trying to get her beauty and health life figured out. And she's like, how do other women do it? The answer is we do not. The expectations of self care are so high,
Hmm.
no one can meet them.
No. Oh no.
And this is just one more box to check off, one more thing to get right, one more problem to be solved. And if you don't do it, you're not doing it right.
Hmm. Yeah.
Damn, y'all. Okay, so here's what's coming.
Hmm.
On our next episode, we're going to talk solutions, right?
Yes.
Real ones.
For once.
Not not go journal your feelings about it.
Right. Let go of imperfections. Just let go. That's all you need to do. That's a real one. I've read that in many articles. Let go of imperfection, of your
Okay,
perfectionism.
I'm letting go.
Let it go. Who wrote that?
I mean, Elsa, but other than the Disney princesses, phew. So, in the meantime, how can people connect more with you and the work that's coming? So, you've got something coming in February. Tell us a
Hmm.
little bit about that and how
Hmm.
people can start getting involved now.
Sure. I am doing the Limitless Leader Mini Mind. It is a 3-month program where we're going to be getting together. There are many experiments to learn more about yourself, to connect with yourself, to get more in touch with your feelings, to be in community of other people who are also working through their what we've learned about imposter syndrome and apply that to how who we are now, how we're living and who we are now. And so ideally when you come out of that, you'll be more confident, you'll have a sense of self-compassion, and then you can apply your confidence and your compassion to others, the people at your job, people in your family, model it for your children in your community, and go out and change the world, all that good stuff. So you can find out more about that on my website, www.bibaatta.com, and you go to Limitless Leader. There is an article there, but if you scroll, there is another button that you can press if you would like to be on the wait list for Limitless Leader. I know it's a whole lot. It's a lot, but it's because it's important to just know that there's another way to begin looking at this.
Yeah, it's about the process and the journey, and that is what we are here for. And I hope, y'all, that what I would like for you to realize is that none of this happens overnight.
Mhm.
None of this is quick.
No.
And because these aren't your problems and internally that you can just solve, that the work is endless. Sorry.
Sorry. I know no one likes to hear that. I realize that there are just, when you think of solutions, you're just like, oh, it'll be done forever. I'll never have this. This will never happen again. And then when it does happen, you're just like, oh my God, you're back in the cycle. Like maybe something wrong with me. Maybe I did something wrong. I made a mistake somewhere. And then cycle, 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 cycle. Like it's just natural. Human nature means that there are going to be some things you might have worked on that you got right that work great. Then, as you're evolving, you're changing, things are also changing. You're more information, different experiences, different perspectives to experiences that you had before that were going great, that were fixed, and now it's back because there's a new thing to learn from it. I mean, that's just life. Life be lifing. That's what my therapist says. Life be lifing. I'm like, that needs to be a t-shirt. But it's true. So it's
Hmm.
ongoing, it's endless, but that doesn't mean it's bad. It just simply means it's the journey.
And we welcome you on this journey. If you would like to know more about how Biba is getting you there, it's BIBAATTA.com. If you would like to know more about how the Neurodiversity Media Network can get you there, that too is neurodiversitymedianetwork.com. And we hope to see you all on the journey. Thanks for being here today, y'all. Have an amazing day.
Bye.